Next question.
Shouldn't told us.
Most likely to succeed.
The thing is, what other options are there? Like, if it's not most likely to succeed, it's most likely
to start a business.
Most likely to be pregnant.
Most likely to be famous.
Dropout, most likely to be an asshole. Most likely. There's so many kind of things.
The offices become an issue because you're forced to be in the same room with people. In uni, the classes are much bigger. I went to a public university.
People don't care.
Honestly, someone who also won't come to class. So even the friends you keep, the friends you have, it's because you're intentionally making time. Or there's a group meeting, or not even group meeting, there's an assignment. Yes, even the ones you end up doing schoolwork with are your friends, not necessarily someone said 1, 2, 3. Number 1 be in this group, number 2 be in this group, number 3 in this other group. There's a lot more intention to the company you keep.
Okay.
And that helped me blossom a bit more. I opened up even to my friends. I was able to keep going out for events, going out in general.
Wadau, ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. Welcome back to More to Follow podcast. If you're coming back again, as always, we're happy to have you. Feel at home. This is home. It's sort of becoming a home to us. If this is the first time that you're coming, we're very happy to have you on board. I'll let my fellow podcasters introduce themselves.
Owen.
Corey.
And the moniker of today is... Because it's the year 2025, in as much as Trump is the president, I'll embody the identifiers.
Yes.
I'm not going to finish that statement in case it comes to bite me later on. But my moniker of today is Wagoa Makeri. It's a fiery chiefess. So this is the excerpt. In Muranga, many years ago, there was a brave, strong woman named Wagoa Makeri, born around 1856. That's actually very many years ago. Yeah. In 1902, the chief offered her a special job as the headman, which was something that men only used to do. But being the headman was not easy. The British had introduced that hat tax and stuff like that. If you don't know what a hat tax is, go back. I think it's episode 4.2, where we were being told. Mzee was telling us that Kikuyu started living together because each hat was paying a specific tax. Yeah. Some thought she was too strict as a tax collector, made her controversial, and she sat on the backs of men. So it's not a myth. Like, she needs a chair, she will call Mose, and sit on the Mose's back. Anyway, yeah. We don't know how her reign fell, but she was a fiery chiefess.
So, to the fiery chiefess, you said she was a headman, so alikuwa anapiganga tu mahedi.
Yeah, if she's upset, I guess at you. Can you imagine? Amekukalia mgongo.
I know the play is happening sometime in May, so it would be very interesting to see that.
Which play?
Wangwa Makere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know which weekend in May. Early beginning of May, the play happened.
Okay. Okay. If whoever is doing the play, by the way, this is free advertising we've given you, so to invite. Utakat na utasnipi watumie direct. Okay, good. So following last week's episode where we had the discussion on hot grabber sessions.
Hot grabber. The ones that Corey did not have an idea about.
We've gotten overwhelmingly positive feedback about those episodes and people sharing a lot of nostalgic memories regarding their time in high school. So we thought to have a second episode, sort of callback, to discuss other aspects that maybe we did not exhaust in that first episode. So I'll start with a bit of an introduction to you guys. Feel free to popcorn these answers. If your school had a yearbook, ours did, by the way, just saying. And they were voting and saying most likely to. What do you think your trait would have been? at the time you're finishing?
What would have been my trait?
Your trait, exactly.
My trait?
Yeah, so most likely to succeed, most likely to...
Oh, yeah, okay. We can start with you again.
You do it all the time.
Yes, I need time to think.
Be original
I
at
need
least
time to
once.
think.
It's okay.
Whatever.
For me, I think it's one of two things. Most likely to be president, or most likely to bag a bad story around. I'll explain why in a nutshell. But yeah.
Buddies with Owen, 2027.
I think mine would be most likely to succeed. Like I said, I was the typical bookworm. Yeah?
Enunciate again?
Yeah. Because
Most likely to succeed.
She said sex. It's something
Succeed.
Yeah. Succeed.
Succeed. I was like,
Succeed.
Unaenda South Africa na usemi?
Hey, yo.
Unjani. Most likely to succeed, eh?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
my bit.
okay, most likely to succeed. I think because I tended to be a very controversial character, especially towards the end of...
Tended.
Please give context.
Of-
What do you mean
of high school.
controversial?
I would rub people off the wrong way.
That sounds...
Yeah.
Give me hot grabber, that sounds quite.
Because I had this attitude that if you need to do something, just do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we don't have to go through all this. And we had too many cliques in high school, especially for my class. I envied the unity that I saw in the class above us and after us. Because a lot of those guys have kept connected even, a decade after finishing.
Because I know a lot of your classmates here. It's very...
So we had a lot of individualism. And so I don't think my most likely or my trait at the time would have been a positive one. Also went through personal problems because I think around the same time is when my late mom was being diagnosed with cancer. So yeah, it was just a lot. 2014, 2015. But I think 6 or 7 years on, I was having a conversation with someone who is friends with someone I finished high school with. And that person mentioned that for them, it was never a doubt that this guy is going to succeed, even when we were still in high school. And it took me back because I was like, mngeniambia hivi tukiwa high school bado. Labda ningetulia, labda tumekuanga best, but it is what it is. Even another one, it was so interesting. Tulikuwa Casavera before it shut down. And we were living, I was with two ladies, my date for the evening and her friend. And umse alikuwa anajaribu ku not sure why. I mean, kipindi cha lala salama inakuanga dakika 97.
Yes.
97th minute for an English speaking,
For
Swahili speaking
Sorry.
friends and followers. And the guy came, and I guess his way of trying to grease up this babe was to tell this babe, I know this guy was such a stand-up guy, even in terms of like Christianity and stuff like that. And Coco Club 92 AM, that thing, it didn't leave my mind. Like I was like, you guys made fun of me all back in the day, and now.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, next question.
Shouldn't told us.
Most likely to succeed.
The thing is, what other options are there? Like, if it's not most likely to succeed, it's most likely
to start a business.
Most likely to be pregnant. Most likely to be a
famous.
dropout. Most likely to be an asshole. Most likely. There's so many kind of things.
Okay.
Most likely to work with Pascal Tokodi because that would have been a thing back then.
Yeah.
More on a blush.
But
That would have been okay.
oh, sorry. Apologies.
Have you worked with him?
No, not yet.
Pascal
Not
Tokodi.
yet.
Yeah.
Kori. Unaona Tokori. Hata si
Okay, surely.
sinasia ako single.
Anyway.
Sips black tea.
So
Which teacher had an impact? Have I asked this question?
no.
No. Which teacher had an impact in your high school life? Like, hadi wa leo unakumbuka umse. And let me narrow this. Okay, not narrow it. Let me widen it. Not academically.
Mine would still be academic though. Joining not first dates, Form 1, I was really good at math. You go to class knowing very well this is my thing. I did so well during the first few terms, to a point where I was actually sent, I wrote this in the book, I was sent to go for a math contest. So first time competing with so many people, and everyone is there because of how well they are in math.
Brilliance, exactly.
Yes. By the time I sat down to do my paper, I panicked. I for sure panicked. And I ended up being the second last in the entire contest. And this is like 200 people.
Why not? That's
And I was like,
second last.
I'm the person who's been, because I couldn't answer the information, the questions in time. I was saying things for the first time. It's not like I didn't know the answers, just that I panicked. I'm like, oh my God, there are so many people who are answering the same question. So many people who are doing this test. I need to come out as the first one. And I was sent among the Form 1s to represent the school. By the time I'm coming back to class, my teacher was utterly disappointed. Yani umekuwa ukinidanganya kwa hizi papers tunafanya kwa class. At some point I think she thought I was cheating. She put me down so badly from Form 1 paka Form 4. I could not manage to do anything above a C in math. Mostly because of the attitude she already gave me from Form 1. But something changed eventually in Form 4. She was also a class teacher, so it really affected me. But by Form 4, unajua kuna exam. Like, it even became less about her and more about
your
grades.
future.
And it changed, but then for a huge chunk of time, I hated math because of my teacher.
Fair enough. RJ, what's yours? I can't remember your Monica. There's so many.
Wangu or Makeri. Wagu or Makeri. But the KNT version is Wangu or Makeri.
There we go.
There we go.
Taxi.
What's yours?
We had a.
But sophomore had some really cool experiences. You guys, I think, went to schools.
Because remember, I told you guys that we had that one-on-one experience. We had tutors.
Yeah.
So we had someone who, like, on a consistent basis, maybe every 2 weeks, you guys would have maybe a 30-minute conversation just to catch up on how it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Be it there or at home. So mine actually didn't come from my tutor. It came from another gentleman who was like the coolest tutor before he left the school. Okay, second coolest. He's called Austin Bindaga Omeno. This man is a phenomenon. And he's a phenomenon because, first of all, he's hiked Mount Kenya double-digit times. He summits in shorts. Sometimes he doesn't even use gloves. Like, he uses gloves now when he starts seeing the snow.
Summits in shorts.
In shorts, double-digit. Keep in mind, double-digit. He's also done Kilimanjaro. The story goes.
Shout out to Moses because he also summited Mount Kenya.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing a profile picture hapo.
Kila mahali. Kila
Bwana,
mahali.
tutafutie
TikTok.
bibi.
Instagram.
Valentine imefika. Easter imefika bwana. Madaraka Day isifike. Anyway, so Austin was the kind of gentleman who would deliver at all costs. And I think that sort of impacted how it is that I push through with a lot of the things that I do.
Okay.
And the story that he gave is, which was not a lie, by the way. This girl was coming to school one day, then he got hit by a bus. Then he came to school, taught his math lesson. Then he was like, okay, fine, let me go and check if there's internal bleeding. He was like, delivery at all costs. Okay, he's a bit radical. Me, if I get hit by a bus. You know, it's going to be a different...
ditch on, I'm not going to work. That for me is a...
So you see, like already that day, I was like, my knee is bleeding, but I'm like, that's it.
No, that's it.
I'll heal, you know. Yeah. So yeah, that's my experience.
Nice. For me, I think, what do I pride myself most on? I think it'd be human interaction. So, where I went to school, we'd have like class teachers for the different streams. And then now we'd have for the entire, say, stream or class, because people use those two words interchangeably all the time. So for the like entire form, we'd have a form head. So I remember this form head, because it took a bit of a squabble for me to get into the school. She was like, no, it's filled. And because you've seen my mom, because of how light she is, and this teacher was the same, people used to call her my mother. And similarly, so she was my French teacher as well. So she'd always, it was fascinating. I used to feel like a government spy because she'd always want me to tell her what's going on with the rest of the class. And I'd always tell her what the rest of the class needs, wants her to hear. So I was like a double agent. How that impacted my life, it properly etched in me how to deal with different interactions at different levels. So yeah, I think that for me would be the greatest thing.
Okay. You're like a mole. You're the link between the administration and the people. Do we have such in the government of today?
The government doesn't need any moles. They are the moles.
That man is the link between the administration and the people. He's his own link. Okay. Have you registered as a voter?
I am.
You need to register again.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
No, I'm just checking.
I am. I'm registered as a voter.
Ni sport check. Tunafanya sport check by the way. No, it's grounds to cut
Have
someone.
to refresh.
I was like, now Pian is doing it.
Nah, it's grounds to cut
People
someone.
got their IDs and stuff.
Yeah, people are getting IDs.
Because my Buddha guy he's been having an opportunity outside. We've been to digress a bit, and the guy hasn't gone because he's been waiting for his passport for 2 or 3 months. Insanity. Anyways, back to you.
Yeah. Okay. So now I said it's grounds to cut off somebody. Let's take it back to the high school context. Cliques. Did you guys have any cliques? And if you did, how did it shape the social dynamics of your class? And how did it shape how it is that you interact with people outside? Like now in campus,
Okay.
and now as a young professional.
I can go first. When it comes to cliques, no, I didn't have cliques.
Not you, the class.
Oh, okay. No, of course there are always cliques, but when you go to a national school of that setting, you find all sorts of people. So yes, you'll find people who are procluded to the same things, keeping together. You find people from a certain area, they can speak their native tongue. You'll find people from Nairobi because they're able to relate to the same things. You know, someone from, say, who's lived his entire life in Turkana, you're coming to talk about how Avengers is hitting in the cinemas or stuff like that. See, that there's a genuine things that are normal to you are normal across the board. And no disrespect to the guy from Turkana, some of the best people I've ever met came from the place. So it inadvertently, loan is that. It's just like life's social classes, simply. So funniest thing is, by the time it goes by, I think people just form different cliques based on different things they relate to once in school. But going out of school, the same cliques that were there, that's I think how they kept on dancing.
Okay. So you found yourself, I guess, ruminating.
Now, for me, that's why I'm asking back. Now, because of my personality, I've always been a piece of garlic, or a piece of a garlic clove that fits in a tangerine, or a piece of tangerine that fits in a garlic clove. So I could be in all cliques. I remember one of the few questions people used to ask me is, how is it you speak to this guy? What do you speak about? And I'm like, I speak about a lot of things. You know? And that's the first time you find that I was quite good with him. Because I'd find I didn't even know, or you brought the fact that he comes from, I didn't even realize that. So
Fair enough.
So garlic fitting in tangerine fitting in garlic. Because they mimic the same structure.
Please shock us.
With what?
And when did you say,
What
there are no cliques in my school?
And then you'll be like, oh no, I know how things were in your school.
100%.
Yeah, so Akipando.
I like that impression. Well done.
Cliques
Well done.
existed. I think up until now, I'm not someone who likes being in such groups. What was the question?
And is
Or
that,
do they
is
exist?
that,
Yes.
is that as a consequence of them existing in high school?
More so because of the role I had to play. Ever since I was in primary school, I've always been in leadership. So being in a clique didn't.
Leaders of today and your hour.
I was in a.
Just
I
kiss a
was
goat
in a-
grabber.
I was in a leadership position. So either I was a prefect, at some point I was a computer lab captain. This was in not in uni, in high school. It felt very difficult to be part of a clique, yet there's a different role I needed to play at the time. So I tried to stay off. Like I know existed, I know what they were for. Backbenchers Association wako, kuna watu wa Nairobi that they meet after nini when you're closed. Yeah, schools are closed, and then watarudi wakiwa na story mob. They even have better relationships outside of school, which is good for them. For me, it was just like school. Nakuja nasoma. I do my bit. I think I did keep to myself a bit more. Aside from the groups, if I'm going to play sports, if I'm going for a math contest, to that extent.
Sports.
I did. I said I used to play lawn tennis. Yeah, and but I didn't say I was a good player. I would play.
That doesn't matter.
No, he was questioning
Yeah,
the
so-
ability.
Yeah, up until today, I don't think I'm a person who likes moving in cliques. But I acknowledge that they exist. And I'm like, garlic and tangerine situation. I don't think I blend well with all of them, but tutaongea.
What do you
Okay.
blend best with?
There's a group of friends actually ended up forming after high school, and we call ourselves the misfits. Like we're the introverted ones who don't like the typical settings that are there, and like we exist on the outside. That's where we best fit. Where there's no one place you can fit us in. We just exist as individuals on our own. So we're the ones looking on the outside, looking in. That's the best way to put it.
You know what that is? El click.
I'll click.
That's a click.
I'll click.
just okay, fine. Let's go outside. Okay. Anyway, I think my experience. The cliques in Strath were quite something.
Yes.
In case you didn't know, he did go to Strathmore High School.
Yeah.
Primary, high school, you need just to have a
Nilikuwa
good time.
DD bwana.
You need one that to have a good time.
Hapo nilikuwa napitia bwana. Mzazi akiona you, please Mr. Dad, he's lying. Yeah, so and I think same. There's those who had been in the system for a while, so they
Yeah.
understood what it meant to be in Strathmore, and there was an element of arrogance around it. There were those who were coming from public schools, there were those who were coming from private schools, there were those who were coming on bursary, so there was that mix that existed. And being in such an environment, it's an equalizer of sorts, because we all have the same uniform, we all have the same blazers, we all punish for the same things, we're all expected to do the same things, and all of that. And I think because of that, like I spoke about it earlier, yo kierehere, like for me it was like, why are we having cliques?
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, we should just all be boys. There's greater unity in just being united.
I think we had that same experience because I couldn't understand it for the life of me. Like, yeah, fair enough.
And that unity unfortunately came when we were doing the wrong thing towards the end of our tenure in high school. I could not understand. And by then I was like,
Screw all of this.
yeah, screw all of this and stuff like that. So even getting out of campus, which is something maybe I shouldn't have done, I decided to distance myself from a lot of guys. Like I wasn't checking up on guys and stuff like that. And it's only recently that I've gotten to see some people that I've not seen in a decade.
Intentionally.
No, it's because we brought up by unfortunate circumstance.
If you find person.
So, would I do it differently? No.
Fair enough.
Because it takes two to tango. Yeah, if people are not, they don't see the purpose and the sense in unity, then really and truly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll stand on that one.
Yeah, okay, being an outcast. So, let's see if we can. So I feel like the conversation has gone down a bit. Let's see if we can go back up. So, learning and bouncing back. Is there any adversity that you guys experienced in high school that you came back from and it sort of changed the trajectory of where it is that you are right now?
Considering I went to boarding in primary for the last year, I went to the last year. It was to acclimatize me to boarding in high school. So I think my parents had the foresight then. So in my very first experience, let me tell you, if I'm being honest, nothing has given me a better outlook on life. And it's fascinating because when I was a kid, when I was a child, sorry, I was a bit sickly. I had bronchitis, which I'm not grown now, but you can imagine being in the hospital every other 2 weeks, so to speak. Couldn't be around the cold, couldn't swim much, which is fascinating. Now I'm around the cold all the time. Ended up competitively swimming. So I go to boarding school. The first thing I have is I get the place where we realize, as the realization that we have bedbugs.
Yeah.
So people had never had a bedbug infestation issue. I have never danced like that to the music because of itching. I was born.
So
it was covered.
never realized?
Yeah, there were bedbugs to that effect. Because it was, I think it was, out of all the schools I've gone to, it was the best school I did good. Now, I mean, my schools give in to one another. This was a parent of this one, and this was a parent of this one. It wasn't intentional. And it just ended up happening. So yes, so if Sakaja is listening, she needs to vacate my office. But it's okay.
It's only
Anyway, so I get bedbug bites. If that's not enough, I find out that I can react to beans. I get things, I start swelling, and it's highly itchy and it's highly irritable. If that's not enough, the biggest heist I've ever seen in my life, where people took a wallet out of my pocket and shifted that wallet out of the room, which is a very big hole, in under 2 minutes without me noticing, because I could feel the wallet leave my pocket. But how it is that it was taken, I was like, yeah, give the focus movie on Will Smith, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, life is not. So the biggest lesson was life. Yes, life doesn't give a damn about you. You're just you're a small speck of grain in a bigger grand scheme of things. So you take what you want to take, you do what you want to do, you be what you have to be, but nothing is owed to you. I remember coming to that realization, I was sitting in the hospital waiting room to visit. That my entire experience is it.
Bwana, nimemuuliza overcoming adversity. So she just decided to go down. Fair enough. Or level the playing field, basically. No one knows you anything. I agree. What about you?
I'd say I've been almost the same person since primary school and high school. In terms of being very much a bookworm, I mind my own space. I mind my own things. Well, I still do. I still do.
Okay.
It's still very fresh.
Madam, it's been 20 years.
Still very fresh. Kana kumbuka, bado ni shida.
Look at that. Sorry.
Nini?
Pale kanisani. Do you go? Still very fresh.
Inauma, lakini nitazoea.
Hiyo ni uongo. Umekuwa umezoea by now.
It's a long time, and it's gone.
Things changed when I went to uni. I think that's where the trajectory changed, because I didn't have to deal with the same people. You know, the same way you said offices become an issue because you're forced to be in the same room with people. In uni, the classes are much bigger. I went to a public university.
People don't care.
Honestly, someone who also won't come to class. So even the friends you keep, the friends you have, it's because you're intentionally making time. Or there's a group meeting, or not even group meeting, there's an assignment. Yes, even the ones you end up doing schoolwork with are your friends, not necessarily someone said 1, 2, 3, number 1 be in this group, number 2 be in this group, number 3 in this other group. There's a lot more intention to the company you keep.
Okay.
And that helped me blossom a bit more. I opened up even to my friends. I was able to keep going out for events, going out to, actually even going out in general. For me, that's where the change was. Like I said, I knew, and something I was taught from primary school. Objective is to finish with a good grade and probably get a scholarship. And by that time, Wings to Fly was such a, I don't know if it still is, get a very good grade in KCSE, and then your life will open up. I got to uni, I was in a public uni. Life still, some continued. I got a fairly good grade. I got a B+. And I was thinking, at some point I thought, oh no, I didn't get the A. My teachers kept telling me, you were meant to get an A. That's an A minus. That's an A that is sleeping by the time I got my grades. But then I did what I did. I was happy I got good grades. And in as much as I didn't get to where everyone was pushing me to go, I was somewhere. And I started to feel more like myself from uni. Started to feel my space a bit more than all the other, not noise, but all the other pressure that was there from before.
So what's the adversity in this? All I'm hearing is hashtag always be cool like this.
No.
It's
just
Yes.
even interacting with people. I was such an introvert from high school.
Also that ties with
when I say I blossomed, it's just because I was even more open with people. I was more open with people. Again, I was a typical nerd. I was always in my computer lab, time I enter. Either I'm practicing how to use Word or I'm practicing how to use PowerPoint. I was very excited about computer.
Fair enough.
That's me being a computer club captain.
Hey.
Sawa. Mimi nipata A minus.
And first, granted it was that
brand.
year, but still.
Oh yeah, but this yetu ilikuwa ya ugoni.
Everything all the time.